The member hasn't got the call just yet. But I thank the honourable member for Melbourne for his contribution and give the call to the very excited member for Fairfax.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I am excited, although I have to start with a sombre note, because while almost 7 million Australians live outside large metropolitan areas, what we find is of the 20 electorates with the lowest household incomes in Australia, 18 are located outside our capital cities. We need real solutions to rural and regional unemployment for most regional centres and country towns, which are no longer the robust, almost self-sufficient communities that they once were. And Queensland is copying it harder than most, Deputy Speaker. Western and northern Queensland are facing a jobs crisis, with unemployment at 10.7% in Townsville and over 12.5% in Western Queensland, with youth unemployment almost twice that. The problem in Queensland, of course, is that the Palaszczuk Labor government continues to display total neglect for the vast majority of rural and regional areas of the state and for the people who live there. Under the strained leadership of Anastasia Palaszczuk and Jackie Trad, virtually all of Queensland beyond inner city Brisbane was ignored in Labor's recent state budget. Unless you're a member of a public service union, one of the urban elite who have benefited from an additional 15,000 new public service jobs under Queensland Labor, then you hardly rate a mention. Significant cuts to agriculture and fisheries. Meanwhile, the Environment Department, based of course in Brisbane City, have seen their staff numbers balloon thanks to a funding increase of almost 40% over a 2-year period. You'd think at a time when rural and regional areas are struggling, they'd invest in infrastructure. But the Palaszczuk government will stubbornly push ahead with their $5.4 billion for only 10 kilometres of inner-city rail running across adjoining electorates held by Trad and Grace, both of whom are under threat by the Greens. Meanwhile, you have the North Coast Rail duplication plan on hold. You have absolutely no money put aside to ensure that the rail line gets duplicated up to the important regional town of Nambour. Now, Nambour is a town of 17,500 people, and since the closure of the Moreton Sugar Mill about 10 years ago, that town has been struggling, and of course, with some downsizing in the hospital and also the council chambers, businesses closing, it needs a boost. Yet the state Labor government refuses to fund the duplicated rail line. They are holding regional and rural areas in Queensland at ransom because they are threatened by the Greens in inner-city Brisbane. Meanwhile, the rest of Queensland seems to struggle as a result. It's about time they start caring for regional rural areas.
I thank the honourable member for his contribution and give the call to the member.